Kenneth Nugent. From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, First at 5.
If you haven't noticed, we are dealing with some very hot temperatures this week, looking like we're going to be hitting the triple digits, no problem whatsoever. If you're looking to stay cool, Augusta has some resources out there. We're looking at ways you can stay safe in this summertime heat. But first up, we're doing what we can to keep cool. And Riley, we're looking at one very hot week, dangerously hot, in fact.
Absolutely, Richard. This will be the hottest stretch of days we've seen in over 2 years. We are expecting temperatures to be just as hot, if not even a little bit hotter, heading into our Tuesday and Wednesday. This is what it currently feels like across the CSRA this afternoon. 109 at the lake, 109 in Evans, over 100 here in Augusta, 102 in Aiken. Pretty much everybody feels like over 100 degrees, so the hottest temps we have seen in a good while. Definitely make sure you're staying hydrated, and if you can, just try to avoid these peak heating hours the next couple of afternoons. Now, looking across the area, we do have some heat advisories in effect heading into our Tuesday. So these have been issued by the Atlanta Forecasting Office and Charleston. You can see here in Augusta, Aiken, Columbia County, we're technically not underneath the heat advisory, but just slightly different threshold for our forecast office. We're going to be just as hot, so don't let that fool you. We're expecting actual temperatures to be in the 100s Tuesday and Wednesday here in Augusta. When you factor in the humidity, we could possibly feel as hot as 110 at times the next few afternoons. Not finally going to drop those temps at least down to the mid-90s until we get to this weekend. So this is going to last for the rest of the week, folks. Into this evening, we look mostly dry. Temperatures will stay in the 90s at least the next couple of hours. Have a look at the rest of the week's forecast in just about 10 minutes.
And as we battle those hot temps this week, there are people in need all around our area. The city with resources during the hottest times of the day, and recreation centers are serving as cooling locations. But what else can you do if you're looking to cool off out there? Sloan O'Cone live from us outside the Center of Hope to talk about some of our local resources. Sloan.
Well, the Salvation Army says they're not turning anyone away. They'll be open throughout the day and throughout the night. So they want to make sure that if you don't have anywhere to go, you know that you can come here. They say that they'll have enough staff to make sure that you stay fed, that the Center of Hope remains clean, and so that you have somewhere comfortable and cool to stay. They say they're ready for any influx of people, but they haven't seen that happen just yet. But we know it's only going to continue to get hotter this week. The worst hours to be outside are from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. And even though we're just 2 hours outside of the peak, it is still very, very hot out right now. So some other helpful resources are making sure you are drinking water, making sure you're hydrated. That's something the cooling centers and places like the Salvation Army say they'll have plenty of. And long-term heat exposure can lead to life-threatening issues, so make sure you're looking out for others and make sure you're listening to your body too. Officials' biggest concern is your safety, and they say that is not going to change.
The biggest thing I would say is that we're talking about this today. The reality is that this is going to be a message throughout this week because the temperatures are going to stay near that triple-digit mark. Again, it's not unusual in Augusta to have such hot temperatures, but for this prolonged period, that's what we're concerned about.
And if you need somewhere to go, you can come here to the Center of Hope or to any of the cooling centers in our area. Coming up tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, I'm working on a story looking at more of the resources that you can seek out if you need help from the heat.
A dangerous time to be on the streets. Thank you very much for that, Sloan. Just into our newsroom today, the Richmond County Sheriff's Office is searching for this missing teenager. This is Alexis Wiles. The Sheriff's Office says she ran away Saturday from the Fairfield Inn and Suites next to I-20 and Washington Road. She's 16 years old, about 5'1". If you've seen her, call the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. First of 5 deputies investigating after a body is found in McDuffie County near the States Ponds off Fitch Hatchery Road. The coroner says there's no identification, no information being released about this body. The case is being investigated by the McDuffie County Sheriff's Office. If you have any information, you can reach out to the Sheriff's Office for that. Members of the Select House Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection say former President Trump knowingly spread the lie that the 2020 presidential election was stolen. They say the rioters that day were encouraged by his statement and rushed the Capitol. Witnesses are also being called to testify about the president's response to those election results.
Trump campaign legal team knew there was no legitimate argument, fraud, irregularities, or anything to overturn the election. And yet President Trump went ahead with his plans for January 6th anyway.
One of those testifying is a former federal prosecutor in Atlanta who resigned 2 days before the attack. It came as President Trump made claims about Georgia's voting numbers. Protesters back out in front of the Supreme Court today. Earlier today, the Supreme Court extending the wait for that big decision in a controversial case. Protesters are looking out for the possible overturning of Roe v. Wade. A leaked draft opinion from the court showed they were ready to overturn that landmark case. Roe v. Wade should be overturned. If it is, they say, if it should be overturned, it would be left up to states to decide if abortion will be legal. The youngest Americans could soon get their COVID vaccines. The FDA says Pfizer's 3-dose treatment for kids under 5 is safe. Advisors with the FDA are scheduled to meet Wednesday to figure out if shots from Pfizer should be given in an emergency use authorization. Also this week, experts will evaluate administering Moderna's COVID vaccine to young children. Here's a live look outside now at I-20. There are a couple of overnight lane closures you need to be concerned about this week. Crews are working on putting in a temporary concrete barrier that's going to be between the border and exit 1 in Aiken County. The left lane going eastbound towards South Carolina will be closed from 9 to 9 until sometime tomorrow morning. The right lane heading westbound into Georgia on the Augusta Canal Bridge will be shut down as well. Construction workers plan to install more concrete beams. They're using those for the new bridge starting at 8 o'clock until Wednesday morning. That's happening tonight as well. All lanes are expected to be impacted by this, so just be careful, slow down, especially when you drive through those work zones this week. Also happening tomorrow, the Appleby Concert Series is coming back. Their first concert was this past Tuesday, and the series continues right through June. That'll be at the Branch Library starting at 8 in the evening. The event is free. It's open to the public. Tomorrow's performer, by the way, is Andy Reid. Wednesday, the SPCA Albrecht Center in Aiken having their ribbon-cutting ceremony for a brand-new dog park. That center's been working on the new yard since the end of last summer. They'll be letting their shelter dogs check out the new space, and they're going to have a big party open to all of us. They're going to have music and food and drinks and more, all starting at 4 o'clock. Inflation is not only raising prices, it's actually making things smaller. Have you noticed this? We're going to take a look at what they call shrinkflation and how it impacts you. Coming up, first at 5.
Hot temperatures the next few afternoons, most likely in the 100s for us here in Augusta tomorrow. Take a look at how long this heat sticks around just after the break.
Time and temp. Only Subaru dealer, Gerald Jones Subaru.
Rain is never good for a wedding. Until now. If it rains 1 inch or more on your wedding day, Floyd & Green Fine Jewelers will give you your rings for free. So pray for rain and watch News 12 and NBC 26 this weekend for the weather happening near you.
When you're hurt in an accident.
While we are burning up here at home, check this out. The land down under, they've got a blizzard to deal with. An Australian mountain becomes a rescue point after this blizzard stranding hikers there. They say the two are lucky to be alive. They're being treated now for hypothermia. Thousands are still without power after some severe wind brought down power lines and toppled trees over the weekend. Riley, it's hard to believe those people are on the same planet we are.
I know. It's crazy the way the weather works around the world. So Australia's in the southern hemisphere, so they're currently in their winter time while we're at our summertime. So they have the flakes and we have the heat. And actually the hottest temperatures we've likely seen in a couple years. Take a look at this. Our current temps here in Daniel Field, currently at 100. The first time we've been able to see 100 at Daniel Field since October of 2019. Martinez up to 102. Evans, you're at 101. So we're already hitting triple digits, and it's actually expected to be a couple degrees hotter heading into our Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, when you factor in the humidity, it is feeling like well into the 100s for places like North Augusta, Welcome Center, Daniel Field, Bushfield, Gracewood. I'm not sure if I'm buying the 113, but you're most likely pretty close to it. And over the next couple of days, we'll likely see a few heat advisories, but what's a little bit confusing is that some of our counties are covered by the Atlanta Forecasting Office, and they have a threshold for their heat advisories over 105 on the heat index. Now, for the rest of the CSRA, we're covered by Columbia and the Charleston Forecast Office. Those thresholds for those forecasting offices 110 in order to see a heat advisory issued. So for tomorrow, we do have some of our counties underneath the heat advisory. Not all of them, but everybody is going to be just as hot. So it makes it a little bit confusing on how to explain it. But our southern counties close to 110 on the heat index. Our western counties between 105 to possibly up to 108. For us here in Augusta, Aiken, also in Evans, Martinez, we're expecting those temperatures to feel like between 105 and 110 tomorrow afternoon. But since we're not going to be over 110 in Augusta for 2 hours or more, that's why we're not underneath the heat advisory. But we're going to be getting close, most likely between 105 110 for most of the afternoon heading into our Tuesday, and that's going to be felt everywhere. So even though you may not be underneath the heat advisory, you're going to see some dangerous heat. This will stick around Tuesday, also Wednesday, even into Thursday. It's not till the weekend we actually do see some relief from this humidity and intense heat. Finally, by the weekend, we get a little bit closer towards average. Now remember, with these hot afternoons, if you can avoid walking your dog outside, that's going to be your best bet in order to keep them safe. Try to get those walks in early or late into the evening. With temperatures this hot, it doesn't take long for the concrete and asphalt to get over and well over 120 degrees. Use that 7-second rule. If you can leave the back of your hand on that surface for 7 seconds, then you're safe to walk on it. If not, you need to find a better place to walk those dogs. Now, we're going to be getting close to record high temperatures next few afternoons. I'm not sure if we actually break any records, but we're going to be within a degree or two most afternoons. What's really going to be feeling intense this week is going to be that humidity. So that's what that double punch of the heat and humidity will be with us each afternoon. Now, looking at radar, we are tracking a complex of storms towards the western North Carolina. So the Appalachian Mountains, this complex is going to be trying to dive south. Not ruling out that maybe some of our southern counties do see a stray storm into this evening, but it is going to be weakening as it reaches our northern counties. So most of us do stay dry into this evening and tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, we bring back an isolated storm chance, but you're going to be lucky if you do see the rain on Tuesday. Slightly better chance for storms Wednesday afternoon, and then once again, not until the weekend, we see those temps at least drop into the mid-90s.
Riley, thanks. It is no surprise the price of food shot up 10% over the last year. And if high prices aren't enough, as Trinity Chavez shows us, some of the products you buy are getting really smaller.
You probably wouldn't notice when you're shopping at the grocery store, but many products on the shelves are shrinking.
I started noticing changes in product when I would simply go to the store to buy them.
Mary Bach is a consumer advocate, and last week she spotted Gatorade for sale in a new bottle.
The newer bottle is a little bit slimmer, 32 ounces down to 28 ounces, and they were both exactly the same price.
It's called shrinkflation. More and more products with less inside. A small box of Kleenex now has 60 tissues. A few months ago, it was 65. A popular yogurt went from 5.3 to 4.5 ounces, and the Dawn detergent on the right is a half ounce less, but the packaging looks similar to the old one.
Usually we see shrinkflation coming in waves, and at the moment, because of inflation, it's a tidal wave of shrinkflation.
Edgar Dworsky is the founder of ConsumerWorld.org. He says manufacturers' production and shipping costs are going up, and many companies don't want to raise prices.
They know consumers are price conscious, and they're going to catch that, or they can do it the more subtle way. Take a little bit out of the product.
And some companies are upfront about the changes. Earlier this year, when chicken prices soared, Domino's announced that it would be shrinking the number of chicken wings in its carryout deal from 10 to 8.
Consumer advocates say most companies never point out downsizing.
Manufacturers are really good when they want to give you a bonus. There's a big banner on the package that says, look, 20% more. Unfortunately, we're never going to see one of those that says, look, 20% less.
Some manufacturers may reintroduce larger packages when inflation eases, but Dworsky says once a product has downsized, it often stays that way. Trinity Chavez, CBS News, New York.
Sometimes it's so subtle you hardly even notice, but this is the highest jump in prices since back in 1981. But companies have been openly doing this for a long time when their cost of manufacturing goods increases as well. Okay, coming up here, how a Georgia golf club is still creating opportunities in the game of golf 1 year after hosting a big PGA Tour event.
The live icon.
Just into our newsroom, a deadly crash in Aiken County. We're learning from the South Carolina Highway Patrol. A driver died in a crash that shut down Edgefield Highway. That crash happened around 12:40 this afternoon near Good Springs Road. State troopers say the car crossed the center line, hit a street sign, and then hit a tree. That crash shut down Edgefield Highway for most of the afternoon. At this point, the driver's name has not been released until family can be notified. Well, it's night, and voters do need to go to their regular Election Day polling place for that. Do bring a photo ID or voter registration card with you. A golf club in Jasper County taking strides to mentor students on the fairways and the classroom. The Congaree Global Golf Initiative sets to prepare young students for college golf in about a week, and it does have a successful reputation. For the past 5 years, the program has placed 95% of its students into universities. That's about 160 kids worldwide.
We have 2,200 college coaches on speed dial. So our advisors, our academic and athletic advisors, spend a lot of time with these kids, making sure that their grades are good enough, their SATs, they do prep testing, application letters to go to college.
24 students were invited to Richmond the last couple of weeks, hoping to be next in line for that initiative. And Davidson says it'll be the experience of a lifetime to play at that championship level. Yellowstone National Park renaming one of its mountains to honor Native Americans. Mount Doane is now known as First Peoples Mountain, according to the National Park Service. The original namesake was after a U.S. Army captain that massacred more than 170 Native Americans in 1870. The decision to change the name was unanimous and is supported by other groups, including the Wyoming Board of Geographic Names. Shopping for a new car is on your list. If it is, recent interest rate hikes could affect how much you pay for your loan. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePalma shares why experts say pre-approval is a really important first step.
If you're planning to buy a car in the next few months, make sure you check with your local financial institution before you go to the dealer. Jerry Daly, financial coach with the Virginia Credit Union, says get pre-approval before you go car shopping so that you know what you qualify for.
You can get a deal at the dealer, but you want to make sure you're getting that deal. So if you walk in with a pre-approval from your credit union or from your financial institution, it's going to set you up to truly understand if you're getting the best deal.
Dale says if you don't get pre-approval and a dealer pulls your credit while you were there, you would have no way to compare rates.
If you've already been pre-approved, you walk in, you know, okay, I've got a 2.5 to 3% approval from my financial institution. Let's see what the dealer can do.
Dale says by having that pre-approval, you have a better chance of negotiating a better rate with the dealership. And of course, the recent rate hikes by the Federal Reserve are impacting financing across the board. So just like everything else, rates for car loans are higher in general right now. With this, Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePalma.
Well, temperatures will be close to 100 each day this work week, but luckily by the weekend it does start to feel better for us. At least mid-90s, lower humidity. Now look at those hot days ahead just after break. All right, heat index values are going to be in the danger zone each afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, feeling like anywhere between 100 to 110 across the area. Definitely stay hydrated. Try to avoid those peak heating hours during the day if you can, and feel like temperatures will be, once again, anywhere between 105, 110, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon. Starting to feel a little bit better by the weekend. That's when we finally do bring back some slightly drier air, so not as muggy heading into this weekend. But the reason for all the heat is this big upper level ridge. So this is looking at our jet stream pattern. This is actually upper level winds a few miles above the surface, but they help separate warm air and cold air. So with this upper level ridge pattern, this brings us a very hazy, hot, and humid outlook. This is going to stick around Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way until Friday. Luckily, by the weekend, that pattern does finally break. Isolated storms Tuesday afternoon, a slightly better chance to see a passing rain relief storm Wednesday into our Thursday as well. Now, Friday into the weekend, it does look drier and lower humidity, so cooler mornings by the weekend.
Congress getting ready to take action on guns. We're going to take a look at their efforts on gun control as they get closer to their summer break. When First at 5 continues here.
COVID-19 vaccines are bringing hope.